Thanks to Mosida's Motorsports. Today we're going to review the Kawasaki 625. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back. Today we're going to review the 2017 Kawasaki 625. You gotta use it, right? You gotta put it to use. Alright, while we're sitting here at the red light, let's take a look at the tach. So the red line is at 10, right? So we have a gear indicator here, fuel gauge, temperature gauge, trip, miles per gallon, and the speedo, of course. And we can, if you look at this tach, it's actually adjustable. You can change to a different settings. You can change it to like this, I'm calling it Indian style, with those feathers looking like things. And you can just, you know, of course, also change it to just a standard single tach. It's digital, so. What else we got? We got no driving mode, no riding mode, so that's good. I like that. No traction control, no ABS on this model. This does come with ABS with a little bit more money, but this one does not have the ABS. So overall, I think it's a simple, cool layout for this gauge. It works. Gives you all the information that you need. As I mentioned, it has the exact amount of fuel that you have, which is really good. Not a lot of bikes have that. I like this tach, actually. It's not that bad, and I like the digital tach. It's pretty awesome, just especially because you can customize it to whatever you like. There's like 4 different settings, so it's pretty neat. The suspension, while we're here, is not adjustable. The forks, at least, are not. Can't see the suspension in the back. Can't see the suspension in the back, but I'm gonna assume not adjustable. Maybe preload, but both of the levers stock are adjustable. It's giving you 4 different settings, so that's pretty cool. A lot of bikes give you adjustability for the brake side only and not the clutch, so it's nice to see that they're adding that here on the clutch side as well. I like that. Okay, that was a really smooth pull. I didn't realize I was on red line already. Dude, the motor is so smooth. So smooth. Alright, let's move on to the next part of this review, which is the ergonomics. I am 6'4", 220 pounds, just for, you know, just so you guys can compare yourself to me. I am comfortable on this bike. I'm not a huge fan of these handlebars, however. They are so swept back. What I like it personally are supermoto style handlebars, very straight and tall, but these handlebars are super narrow, super sweepy. Like, look how swept back it is. I don't know if you guys can tell on GoPro, it's really swept back. If you're comparing it to the FZ07, the bike that I have, the stock bars, this is twice as much as the FZ07, so definitely really swept back. But what that results in is really upright seating position. It's a comfortable seating position, that's for sure. The seat itself, it feels comfortable right now. I was pressing it with my wrist, so I was pressing on it with my thumb and fingers. It felt comfortable, just like the FZ07, but I don't think it's going to be comfortable for long rides. That's usually the case with most of these kind of bikes anyway. So if you want more comfort, you're going to have to upgrade the seat. Man, this thing is just leaning into turns. Zero effort. But yeah, so overall ergonomics, it's definitely a comfortable bike to ride. Very upright. I don't know about the handlebars, personal preference. You guys can easily swap those out if you want, but I think overall it's a great, comfortable bike. All right, so the suspensions, the forks and the suspension. For road right now, it's a little bumpy and it's soaking up the bumps really well. I am really comfortable. It's not jarring. It's not too stiff. It's not too soft that it's, you know, it's perfect. I think it's pretty comfortable. I like it a lot so far. I think it's a comfy ride, to be honest. Kawasaki's done a really good job on the suspension. It is really comfortable. It's not too stiff, as I mentioned, and it's not too soft. FZ07, comparing it back to my bike here, FZ07 is a little bit on the softer side if you've ever ridden one. This is a little bit stiffer than that, but for good reasons. I think it's not bad that it's stiffer than the FZ07. It's a lot more comfortable. It soaks up the bumps really well compared to the FZ07. So thumbs up for the suspension. That gear indicator is super helpful. I like it a lot. I'm getting used to it with my FZ07. It spoiled me. I don't think I can ever ride a bike again without a gear indicator. I like it a lot. I'm going back to the ergonomics here after spending a little bit of time on the bike. For my height, for 6'4", this bike is not really fitting me that well. So keep that in mind. If you're a tall rider, it's not very comfortable for me. My knees are going past the frame, past the tank, as you can see here. So I mean, I'm not hitting this part of the plastic here, so it's not that bad. But it's not comfortable, to be honest. It's very much like my FZ07, but FZ07's got a bigger tank, so it fits me a little bit better. This is like a 300cc bike tank. And also the seat height is really low. It's not very much. If I had to guess, it's probably 30 inches, which is pretty similar to the FZ07. So in terms of the height, it's pretty comparable. And again, it's short. It's not that tall. It's not that high. So if you're a tall rider like me, it's very, very high. I mean, it's very, very low. So your knees are going to be bent a lot. So keep that in mind. But if you're a short rider, it's great news for you because you'll be able to reach the ground comfortably, and that inspires confidence. So I'm up for it. If you're a short rider, definitely check this bike out. If you're a tall rider, go onto the local dealership, sit on it, try it out for yourself, see if you feel comfortable. For me, it's a no-go for a 6'4" tall rider here. All right, so now to the meat of the review, the motor. The motor itself. How does the bike ride? How does how does the motor itself perform? It's a 625cc bike, so it has enough power to keep you entertained for a while, right? It's not like a 300 where you're gonna get bored of it, and it's not like a 1000 that's gonna keep you going forever. It's got enough to keep you entertained for a couple of years and good enough to ride around town. I haven't tested it on the freeway yet, but I'm going 50 in 4th gear right now, and it is so comfortable. It's a little buzzy at 5,000, 6,000 RPM, and the handlebars and the foot pegs, I can feel the vibrations. But the motor itself, it is so linear. It is such an awesome motor. I like it a lot. I mean, the FZ07, it's got a shit ton of torque down low, and then it tapers off. But this one is very linear. It feels like it feels like it's got power all the way through the rev, and it's really nice. It's really nice. Kawasaki always does a good job on their motors. I like their motors a lot. So they did not skip out on this bike either. This bike has got an amazing motor. It's a twin cylinder, parallel twin. So it's a little buzzy, but it's super comfortable. So I'm going in 6th gear, 4,000 RPM, 50 miles per hour, and it's super comfortable. I can still feel the vibrations in my feet on the foot peg. So keep that in mind. It's a little buzzy bike. Downshifts are super smooth. Not a lot of engine braking. Going down to 2nd gear, not a lot of engine braking. So you're gonna have to invest a lot in those brake pads for sure. All right, let's get an acceleration. I mean, it took me 4 gears to get up to 80, so it doesn't have a lot of power, but as I mentioned, it can do it. It can do the highway speeds, it can do the city, so it's definitely, it'll keep you entertained, but it doesn't have a whole lot. F07's definitely got a lot more power than this bike, but this bike behaves a lot better on the road than the F07. Oh shit, I thought this was a speed monitoring band, but it's not. But anyways, coming back to the review here. So, do I recommend this bike? I recommend this bike to beginners for sure. I mean, it's got good amount of power that you won't be bored, as I mentioned, and you'll be able to keep this bike for a long time. When I look at a bike, I look at it as an investment. Can I keep this bike running and be happy with it for a long period of time? With this bike, I think you can, if you're a new rider. If you're an expert intermediate, you can still buy this bike and be happy with it, but you have to go into it, if you have to go into buying this bike with a mindset of like, okay, it's a good bike, but it doesn't have enough power to, one, cruise on the highway easily, and two, keep you very entertained, like a 1000cc bike or maybe a super sport of any kind, right? So it pulls, I mean, 5th gear, and I was at 60, it pulled fine. It's got plenty of power to pull, so and it also handles really well. It just turns. I'm doing zero input, I'm just looking, and the bike is turning itself. It is an awesome flickable bike. So again, going back to the beginners, right? So this is definitely an inspired confidence for new riders. So the first, okay, I'm gonna compare it back to the F07 here. I apologize if you guys are getting annoyed by that, but I think they're close enough that they can compete with each other, right? So I see this bike as a direct competitor with the F07. So F07 first gear, if you try to rev that first gear out, you can maybe get 30, 35, and it will vibrate the shit out of the handlebars. Whereas this, it went up to like 45, it was, I think, and it did vibrate, but it was super smooth, super tame. It wasn't crazy like the FZ07. So as I mentioned, going back to the motor, right? So like the motor is super awesome. It keeps it parallel. It keeps it linear all the way through. So I like that a lot. It's definitely a better motor than the FZ07, I think. It's a lot easier to manage the throttle on this than the FZ07. FZ07 is a little twitchy, whereas this is not. This is a lot more comfortable, a lot easier to kind of just ride, and it doesn't have a lot of torque that will kind of throw you off. So going into this turn, as you can see, it just freaking leans right over. Oh man, I went over there, but see, it's so easy. The flickability of this bike is awesome. The exhaust is super quiet, that's for sure, as is any stock exhaust. But the motor sounds really good. The motor just sounds mean, to be honest. Like, it just sounds super mean, super gnarly. Yeah, downships don't got a lot of engine braking. So yeah, as I was saying, the downshifts definitely don't have any engine braking at all. I went down all the way to second gear at like 40 miles per hour, and not a lot of engine braking. I don't know if you guys can hear that motor. It just sounds mean. I don't know what it is. Like, it sounds so awesome. Yeah, so around town, it's so balanced. I was almost at what, 5 miles per hour, and I didn't have to put my feet down. It's so balanced. The chassis is pretty damn awesome. It's overall a really good package. Look at this. This is gonna win some slow races. I don't know if you guys can hear that motor. I left my windscreen open so you guys can hear that motor. It sounds so good, man. It's so balanced. God, the chassis on this bike. Kawasaki always does a great job with the motors and the chassis. Like, it's an awesome chassis on this. It's so balanced. It's so confidence inspiring. I like that a lot. Good job. Good job, Kawasaki. So, all right, let's summarize this ride here. All right, let's bring it back home. What do we think? Number one, the overall layout. You know, it's really nice, usable. Gear indicator, tach, awesome. Looks great, very usable. Handlebars and personal preference, but you can swap them out easy. And then suspension. Great suspension for stock. It's not adjustable, but as it's set up for my weight, 220, it's not very bad. So if you're lighter than me, it's going to be even better. So suspension, thumbs up. The motor. Oh, we skipped ergonomics. Ergonomics. If you're a tall rider like I am, 6'4", I mean, I'm comfortable, but I feel like the bike is too small for me, especially with this tank. Maybe the tank is not helping. It's like it's a 4-gallon tank, but it feels like it came straight from a 300, their Ninja 300. So like the tank is super small, so that's not helping. But the ergonomics for me at 6'4", it's not very comfortable, so keep that in mind. Go check it out, go sit on it yourself. So it's not very tall rider friendly. Definitely short rider friendly. If you're short, it's really low to the ground. Alright, so back to the motor. The motor is the best part of this bike, I think. The motor and the chassis combined. Definitely a great combination. It's got a great motor. It doesn't have a lot of power, but it's very linear, which is awesome for beginners and intermediate riders and even experts, because you can really have fun on this bike. Like it's pulling in 5th gear at 60 miles per hour. So it's got torque, it's got power, and I like it. Motor is the best part of this bike, I think. And combine that with the chassis, Kawasaki chassis, woo! It's a great package. It's so balanced, so flickable, so much fun to ride in the twisties. So I approve that as well. So the only few things I don't like about this bike, again, is the ergonomics for me. It's a personal thing. It's not, if I don't like it, doesn't mean you're not going to like it, so go ahead and check it out. The mirrors are great, the tach is awesome, this dash in general I think is really good. It's really easy to see in the sunlight. The sun is directly hitting us, and it's easy to read. I like it. Tank is 4 gallons. It's more than enough. I think for city riding, highway riding, for touring, yes, it's not big enough, but I don't expect you to tour on this bike. So yeah, so it's overall, I think it's a great bike. I like it. I would definitely recommend it to a lot of people. Would I buy this bike over the FZ07? The only reason I would do it is maybe if you're getting a better deal in terms of price. Sure, the FZ7's got a lot more power, it feels like. Maybe I haven't looked at the numbers, but it feels like FZ7's got more power. But this is a better motor for sure. So it definitely pulls. But as I mentioned, I don't know the exact numbers. The FZ07 feels like it pulls harder, but so it feels like it's got more torque and more power, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But if it was between these two bikes, honestly, any one of those two bikes, FZ7 or the 625, you're going to be happy with. Just go ahead and buy any one of them. Whichever bike has a better deal, go ahead and get it. If you can ride both of them, awesome. Definitely should do that. But if you can't, you'll be happy with either one of these two bikes. So that's all I had for this review. If you guys enjoyed it, you found this review helpful, always hit that subscribe button if you haven't, and that like to let me know you guys are enjoying these reviews and you want me to do some more. Any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Again, thank you Mercedes Motorsports for lending me this bike. It was an awesome ride. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.